want to talk about it a little bit about like, we don't need to talk about prioritizing strength training overall and making it, because we have a whole podcast with that. So you guys need to swing back. Yeah, people need to swing back and check that out if you haven't listened to it already. But we talk about the importance of strength training and the benefits of it, and like why we want to do these things, and make it more of a routine versus like making it a task. But now that I've done it, I'm better equipped to speak not only with authority in terms of like having experience as a strength coach for a decade, but also now having lived through it.
Yeah.
I can speak on it. And it's not just like that I happen to like register for it and just go do it. I trained for 8 months. Like I was doing it for about 8 months of time. I was like running consistently. Mm-hmm. So I had those ups and downs of pains, and I had ups and downs of like fatigue and understanding it all. And there's so much more than what people think. And I really want to dive into this idea of like when we meet with runners, a lot of runners come in here and like we've heard this, right? Runners come in and I'm talking about specifically adult runners over 40. Like, yes, you can be under 30, you can be under 40, but specifically to the ones 40 and over, when hormone production starts to change up, when you've been through life quite a bit and you have some aches and pains, most likely, the adults over 40 who prioritize running over strength training, we need to take a step back and really look at what's going on from a physiological standpoint, right? We want to look at what we're doing. Too many times we hear like, oh, like I run 3, 4, 5 days a week. Like my legs are strong. I don't need to worry about my legs. Let's work on my upper body. Yeah. I just want to work on my upper body. I want to work on my arms. I want to work on my chest. Like it's always the places that you need the least amount of training. Especially someone who's an avid runner. Avid runners need to be in here squatting, need to be doing lunges, need to be doing something in like the transverse plane. So like maybe some lateral lunges on like a TRX.
Yeah.
We need to be doing some hinging movements, some deadlifts, some single leg movements, some balance, a lot of balance movements. We need to be doing things that are going to prioritize posterior chain. So like rows, like
support posture.
Yeah. Other than my knees, the sore, and this is both half marathons, this is both times, this is in all the training, the area of my body. You want to venture to guess? You might know the answer. Where do you think on my body I felt the most pain? Like soreness.
Other than your knees?
Other than my knees. Soreness. Ankles, yes. So another joint area.
I'm just thinking about your previous, some of the things that you've had in the past.
But like taking all that stuff aside, like what do you think as a strength coach, what would you expect to be like the spine?
Expect?
Yeah.
Like not thinking about you?
Sure. What,
lower back.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
It's a big one. So for me, it was my upper back, mid back, like my whole T-spine, like the whole thoracic spine area.
Yeah.
That right there. And still we're sitting here now, I'm like trying to pull back and I feel like sore. I haven't even lifted. I did rows on Tuesday last week. So like for people who are watching, like that's almost a week ago. That was 6 days ago. So we as strength and conditioning specialists, coaches, professionals, fitness professionals, when we speak to our members, and this is important, when we speak to you, the members, to people who are runners, people coming in on the trials, if you are someone who is a runner over 40 and you have your goals, which is fine. Your goals, like the goal is, I want to improve my upper body strength. Please understand that even if your goal is like, even though their goal is to have upper body strength, we're going to still continue to prioritize lower body and core.
Yeah.
Without a doubt. And posterior chain, like that, without a doubt.
Yeah.
It's got to be.
Yeah. I know we don't want to beat a dead horse here.
Beat it.
With talking about resilience and all, because we've talked about that a zillion times in the past. It builds resilience, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think there's a very obvious reason too, other than the fact that, a lot of people will think that they're good. They say, I'm good, man. I'm good with my legs. I'm totally good. Don't worry about them. Seriously, just look at my biceps. Like, let's just work up top. I'm like, I get it. But strength training is going to expose your muscles to a very different type of adaptation. And you want that strength. As a runner, you should want that. You should be coming in here, instead of thinking about upper body, I'm a runner. I run a lot, but I would love to strengthen my legs here in strength training because that's going to get me to run even better. with more resilience, right? So my joints won't hurt. My muscles aren't going to bother me. Like all these different things that come up. But apart from that, like you had mentioned, man, the posterior chain work is great. You're building resilience, yes, but you're building better posture, better muscles that support your posture. And while think about it, when you're running, you are, in order to move forward, in theory, you should have some kind of lean or something that's kind of driving you forward, right? Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, totally.
Some kind of something that propels you or helps you accelerate in some kind of way forward. And it's so critical. Instead of just thinking about your body sticking straight up in the air and taking a big stride out and landing on the ground, it's so critical to understand that, because all these other movements we do, these hinge movements and these squat patterns, support that. They reinforce it so that when the time comes for you to run, and you're talking about compression, right? When every step you take, your body is under compression. And so again, having the joint support, having the muscles to support all those motions is so critical. Yeah. Anyway, back to you, because you were talking about.
That's it, man. You hit the nail on the head. My upper back and mid back are so sore, as if I had lifted like that entire 2 hours of running, but I didn't. And it's because I would catch myself, and I have a very good understanding of like running posture and like posture itself. I get it. I'm also human. That's a big part that I think people tend to forget. Like, we're also human.
Yeah.
Like, even though we teach and preach this stuff and we try to live by the code, so to speak, we're still humans who have struggles, who have pains, who have strength issues and complications and challenges, mentally, physically, everything. But when I was running a handful of times, I would find myself like my shoulders caving forward, rounding forward, and like my like head going down, and I would have to like mentally check myself and like pull myself back up and like run with a little bit of a posture, like pull my shoulders down and back, because oh my gosh, they keep falling forward, and they would shrug up and go forward, and I would have to pull them back down, pull my lats down and back, and like fight against it, and then it would happen again. I would fight against it, and it's that mindfulness and awareness in my body that allowed me to, I think, continue to make sure that I wasn't having like any more pain than I already was having.
Yeah.
And then the recovery aspect of it, like more water, more food, more protein, more carbs, and then stretching. Like, I spent a lot of time stretching and holding long 1 minute full time stretches multiple times.
Well, I think the other thing we're missing here is the fact that this was a competition, dude. Like, you were competing in something. It's not like your everyday run. You don't go out and do a half marathon every single time you run.
Right.
You trained for it.
Right.
But when the time came and you competed, it's okay for some of these things to come up. It's okay. We're doing our best to try and make you more resilient. You were right. You're in here strength training. I know you were, because we train together every day.
Yeah.
And while you're doing that, you're building that resilience so that when this time came, or when the time, whatever, right? You know what
I do.
When the time came, you could be in the best position possible to lower to mitigate your risk of injury, to help feel a little bit more comfortable after the run and all those things. And I think you did a good job of that. You know, I'm sure there are going to be expert runners who listen to this and they say, well, I wonder about that.
Yeah,
but the truth is, you nailed it, man. You're like, we're human. Yeah, we're human. Yeah. Like, errors come up. And this is the joy of what we talked about in our last podcast, training versus working out, and that these things make you more mindful. I'd be willing to bet if you had another half marathon in a year, your training from now till then would look probably a little bit different, right? I'm sure there are things that you would go, oh, okay, knowing that these were the areas in my body that weren't as strong as the other parts, I'm going to try and strengthen them or make myself in some kind of way a little bit more adaptable to those areas. And I bet you'd have different results.